Good afternoon. Thank you for joining us. The Vancouver Park Board is facing backlash for a Harry Potter-themed attraction coming to Stanley Park this winter instead of Bright Nights. Justin McElroy will be here to go through the Park Board's decision, and you can let us know, what do you think of the direction being taken at Stanley Park? That's first up. Plus, ahead of the Primetime Emmy Awards this weekend, what's your favorite watch this fall season? That's after 12:30. I'm Michelle Elliott. Welcome to BC Today. The Vancouver Park Board is facing criticism for its decision to host a Harry Potter experience at Stanley Park this winter. Just last week, the Park Board announced that the Harry Potter A Forbidden Forest experience was set to arrive at the park on November 7th. The decision was quickly and widely criticized online, part of it over the $49 entry fee. On Reddit, one person posted, Bright Nights display was free to walk through with donation stations, so people who couldn't afford it or get tickets for the train still could enjoy it. Charging $49 for a for-profit Harry Potter display is disgraceful. Aside from that, Vancouver's queer community and some city council members are speaking out for the event's connection to J.K. Rowling, the author of Harry Potter, who has been called out as an anti-trans activist. Kai Sargent is the vice chair of Community, which is a 2S LGBTQ+ community center and resource center.
What we know is that she has been consistently, actively, politically, and financially in support of some of the widest, largest scale removal of anti-trans rights in the world. Largely centering on the UK, but a lot of what is currently happening in the UK is bleeding out to the rest of the world. The fact that just last few months, she has operated her own nonprofit advocacy center to directly fund with her own money anti-trans legislation. The fact that just recently in April, when the UK government has officially legalized discrimination against anti-trans people, she had posted about it on her own Instagram or her own Twitter that, she loves when a plan comes together, that this was something of her orchestration, that fact that she has recently compared transgender people as having had as much damage done to them as lobotomies would be, like in history. Like, these are direct quotes from her directly. And so when you see that, it's really hard to separate the artist from the art. It's really hard to not see that the $50 that we're going to be paying to J.K. Rowling, that we're going to be paying at least in some part, is really actively being used for political agenda.
Now, the Harry Potter experience is set to replace the Stanley Park Bright Nights train and the Vancouver Firefighters Burn Fund fundraiser that won't continue this holiday season. And that's because the train requires extensive repairs. We want to hear from you now. What do you think of the direction the Vancouver Park Board is taking with the Bright Nights event? And how should the Park Board approach holiday events at Stanley Park? You can call us now. Just hit pound 690 on your cell phone or dial 1-800-825-5950, 604-669-3733. You can also email bctoday@cbc.ca or post a comment on our TikTok Live. That is up and running right now, too. Joining us for this is CBC-BC's Municipal Affairs reporter, Justin McElroy. He's here with me in studio. Hello.
Hello, Michelle.
So a couple of things, kind of two-pronged criticism of this decision. Can you tell me how the Park Board went about making this decision to host this Harry Potter-themed event?
Sure. I talked to a lot of Park Board commissioners yesterday to try and get a sense of how this all came about, because they put out a release last week when this was announced, and online the criticism grew, and there wasn't a whole lot of context there. So what we found out was that there several months ago was a private in-camera Park Board meeting where, among other things, this was discussed and approved. Now, in-camera meetings in local government happen for all sorts of reasons. A lot of them have to do with when there are contracts involved or money or with third parties, for example. So we don't quite know the timeline or what was in that report by staff, but that was approved. It was approved after it was already decided that the train was going to be inoperable in Stanley Park for 2025. And it was after the Bright Nights organizers and the Burn Fund concluded that because of that, they weren't going to be able to put on their fundraiser in Stanley Park. They're going to announce later this month that it's going to be be somewhere else. So it's not quite that they're choosing one or over the other there, because I have seen that criticism. That's a bit inaccurate. However, it is very much the case that Park Board gave the green light to it. It appears that it was unanimous, and now we are starting to hear, as people are being critical of this, at least one Park Board commissioner saying that he regrets the decision, others saying that they wish they had done more research before voting on this. But at the same time, overall, it doesn't look like there's a heck of a lot of commissioners that want to change their mind. They put out a statement, the Park Board did yesterday, saying that they still look forward to the event. And so it seems this will happen. There will be a decent amount of people upset about it for a variety of different reasons. And it's going to be up to commissioners to argue for, champion, or defend how this event ended up being approved.
And so in terms of this event, as you say, there was a chain of events there, right? It was the train having the technical issues.
Which have been happening for years.
Have been happening for years. It feels like the Stanley Park train has been in the news so much for so many things. And then the Burn Fund fundraiser decided to move elsewhere. Right. And then we have this.
And it's important to keep in mind that in the Park Board meeting, when it was announced that the train was going to be shut down for the entire year, staff also said, look, you voted in favor of trying to find ways to raise more revenue in parks. That was a 2023 decision.
Yes.
In 2024, they raised fees and parking in a variety of different ways. And in this document, they said Stanley Park is a place where we could do more partnership with third parties for different types of events, and specifically highlighted the area around the train as a place where they've gotten plenty of proposals over the years for all sorts of things that were different from the status quo, as they put it. And so, you don't have to, you can connect the dots pretty quickly here that staff were asked to find more ways for revenue. They identified the train as an area where that could happen, especially once it was shut down. This is an opportunity that was provided to them. The question is whether the Park Board commissioners did enough oversight or due diligence before making their vote, because if they're now saying that they have regrets, that's on them for not thinking about that back when they made that vote several months ago.
And we also made requests for Park Board commissioners to join us here. They weren't available. And in response to the concerns brought forward around J.K. Rowling, the Park Board did reply with a statement to CBC, which says, quote, transgender, diverse, and gender diverse and two-spirit individuals are important members of our community who deserve to be safe and deserve equitable opportunities to belong and thrive in Vancouver. We are steadfast in our commitment to advancing the rights and well-being of all TGD 2S people in all of our spaces. So that's a statement from Vancouver Park Board on that. In terms of the process, Justin, I'll put out our email again. We have an email here. It's bctoday@cbc.ca. You can comment on our TikTok Live and let us know on the phone as well if you want to give us a call and let us know what you think of the direction that the Park Board is taking when it comes to Stanley Park and the holiday events there. You just heard, there's been this push for finding revenue within the Park Board. So this is part of that. Let us know what you think. So our numbers are 1-800-825-5950, 604-669-3733, or you can hit pound 690. And we have this email from Robert who writes, I listened to the early edition this morning. This was an interview with Park Board Commissioner Tom Digby. We'll play a clip of that in a moment. But apparently the Park Board held an in-camera meeting to decide whether to choose a Harry Potter theme or not. You referred to that, Justin. And Robert writes, that meeting should have been held in full view of the public. I don't support the Park Board decision. Okay, so what about in terms of process here? You talked about, perhaps doing due diligence in making the decision, but was perhaps more transparency or public consultation needed here?
Well, there wasn't a public vote for having a John Mulaney stand-up performance in Stanley Park next weekend, right? There's all sorts of things that the Park Board approves for different events that are done in camera or done just with staff that don't rise to the level where they feel it's necessary to have a specific vote on a specific public vote, I should say, on a specific thing. In addition, oftentimes municipalities are leery of going if an organization says, there's certain financial particulars involved in this, and if you make it public, it would harm our negotiation standpoint with another body, or perhaps even for the park board themselves in terms of trying to negotiate what the price for future things is. If all of this is public, that harms them. That gives them a legal justification to have those meetings privately with the particulars redacted for a long period of time afterwards. So I'm not saying that's going to make folks happy to hear that answer, but there's lots of precedents for this sort of thing happening. I think in terms of where the transparency comes in for the park board, where they could have handled this better, is they waited until this press release came out last week, just 1 week before tickets went on sale, instead of saying, along with the Bright Nights issue, look, this is not happening this year because of the technical issues with the train. They've decided to move to another place. We looked around and we decided to do this event instead. I'm sure there would still be plenty of people that were upset for all variety of reasons, but you wouldn't have this sort of accusation of, pulling one over on people, or the accusations of secrecy, or they were picking one over the other. But that's where they are now.
This was right. This is the process. Okay, let's hear actually from Vancouver Park Board Commissioner, who's a vice chair, Tom Digby, who was on the early edition this morning. Let's take a listen.
I was not aware of the reputational risks of the Harry Potter franchise when this was put before me, and I voted on it. And what I've learned in the last 5 days from a wide swath of our community is just how concerned, how upsetting the Harry Potter franchise is, not because of Harry Potter, but because of J.K. Rowling. Regarding J.K. Rowling, there's a lot of loudmouth billionaires in the world that I try to ignore, actually, in my day-to-day life. They have dumb positions on, actually, violent positions on numerous things. And so to the extent that J.K. Rowling, that was generally known, I think I was 20 years out of date about Harry Potter. I was thinking of the magical, imaginative world of Harry Potter. But then when it turns out J.K. Rowling is directly still invested in this franchise. So it did not come up specifically at the park board.
That is Park Board Vice Chair Tom Digby speaking on the early edition this morning about the controversy around author J.K. Rowling, who is an outspoken anti-trans advocate and activist. We have an email from Scott in Burnaby who writes, the Harry Potter event in Stanley Park has reignited debate over J.K. Rowling's politics. It's worth remembering that art often comes from people with complicated lives and views. Alice Munro, for example, had a profoundly difficult personal life, yet her writing still resonates deeply. We don't need to excuse or erase an artist's flaws, but we can acknowledge that their work, like Harry Potter or Munro's stories, can still hold cultural and personal values. Scott, thank you very much. I've heard both from Tom Digby and from the community spokesperson that idea of can you separate the art from the artist, that sort of discussion.
Well, and one of the park board commissioners who I spoke to yesterday, Scott Jensen, was his opinion was very much in line with that email, where he said, look, I'm a teacher. I've got tons of kids who are big Harry Potter fans. They're going to be excited about this, so I was excited to allow them to have this opportunity at Stanley Park. He said, I don't agree with Rowling's views, but at the same time, he looked at on the whole of things, this proposal, and said, yeah, the kids I know will be excited. So again, not everyone will agree, but this is part of the reason why it's thorny and so many people are passionate.
People are passionate, and certainly, yes, what we heard from Kai Sargent was that you can't separate the two, because from her perspective, the funding, the profits would go, at least in part, this was her clip, to J.K. Rowling's activism. And so that was her point of view on that in terms of that question of separating the art from the artist. Let's take another call here now. And Simone is calling us from Surrey. What do you think of the direction of the Bright Nights event at Stanley Park, Simone?
Yes, I think it's very cited on the Vancouver Parks Board, because one thing people need to remember, J.K. Rowling doesn't just have an opinion regarding the trans community. She advocates violence towards them. Her most recent post is recommending people take photographs if they see a trans woman in a bathroom, and previous ones she has advocated against a UK charity called Mermaids, which is a phone line for teenage trans youth, a suicide hotline, and she advocated her fans barrage them with hate. So it goes beyond just an opinion. So this is very disturbing. I found it even more compounded, even worse, that the Bright Nights is going. Our family used to go there every year. I understand that the Stanley Park train isn't operating, but that was secondary. Everything else about that, you're supporting charities. It was affordable for families. This new one is, I believe, starts at $49 a person. I don't know how the average family can afford it. So there's so many red flags with it. They just need to cancel it and think of something better, or better yet, bring Bright Nights back.
Simone, thank you very much. That interesting, Justin. You pointed out the increasing revenue is part of the goal of the park board. It's been stated since 2023. But that affordability piece as well, in terms of that, cost of living has been such a concern among people, especially in Vancouver.
It hits another hot button, and the press release said that tickets start at $49. Pre-sales started today. The minimum there for an adult most of the time is $85.
Whoa.
In fact, it's less if you're in a big group or you're late at night. Although I do have to gently correct Simone there again in terms of the bring back Bright Nights. It's not up to Stanley Park and the park board to decide. It's up to the fundraising organization, who decided once the train was shut down for this year that they were going to go somewhere else. So there's that tension there of people not liking this event necessarily or wanting to bring things back to the past. And at least for this year, that simply was not on the table.
Yes, and we're going to find out soon where Bright Nights will decide to go, right? Is that the
That's later this month.
We'll decide on that. Okay, our numbers again, if you want to weigh in, what do you think of the direction that the Stanley Park holiday event, I guess it's not going to be Bright Nights, holiday event is taking? Our numbers again, 604-669-3733 and 1-800-825-5950. You can also just hit pound 690. Jay is calling us from Vancouver. Hi, Jay. What are your thoughts on this event?
Hi, Sept. I have three thoughts. First, I understand that the whole Bright Nights thing is unrelated, but from a citizen's perspective, it's kind of we're losing that, and now we have this. And I think that whole process is just a shame. Secondly, a lot of other people have been saying this, but the fact that I understand that these people need to fund things at the park, and so I understand that things cost money, and I think that's actually quite reasonable. What's not reasonable, I think, is I think they're doing kind of peak demand time based pricing, and so when a family, for example, I'm just one person, so I won't be going. I'm not really interested in Harry Potter trains. But a family who might be very interested, they have a very limited time window when they would want to go. And that's when the tickets are most expensive, which I guess from an economics point of view makes sense. But it also just makes things so much more unaffordable for people and demographics that I imagine are kind of the least able to afford it, maybe.
Are already stretched, yeah.
Yeah. And the third thing, I think there's a supreme irony in the fact that I think, I forget who it was, but a park board member or commissioner isn't even showing up for a large portion of their meetings and stuff, and admits this complaint of not having enough funding, and then the park board not doing their due diligence to find a creative and financially feasible way of funding the park. Just that whole circle of not attending meetings, not doing their jobs, not being able to vet this beforehand and actually put it through the ropes, There's some kind of cool, lazy irony in all of that. And it's just, I don't know, the most Vancouver thing ever.
Jay from Vancouver, thank you for your call. It is very Vancouver, isn't it? I mean, that's why we have Justin here. But on your point about a park board commissioner not attending meetings, Vancouver Park Board Commissioner Brennan Bastoyevsky was calling out one of his colleagues for not attending some meetings at
a majority
the
of
park
meetings
board.
so far this year.
6, I think.
Yeah, six of the 10, and never a dull moment with Park Board.
No.
And also, when you have one separate organization that's directly accountable to the people for such a small part of the Vancouver experience, there are pros and cons about that. And one of them, and sometimes it's a pro and sometimes it's a con, is that people are very passionate about what happens in our parks and our public spaces and the individual decisions made on those, and the ability for people to weigh in some of the time and yet other times not so much or hear about it adds to that tension.
And that's Park Board Commissioner is Marie-Claire Howard. And yes, she's missed 6 out of the 10 Park Board meetings so far in 2025. We have another caller, not in Vancouver, but wanting to weigh in. Hi, Ron. Ron is calling us from Port Coquitlam. What do you think of the direction being taken at Stanley Park, Ron?
Well, I hope I'm getting it right. I got into this conversation late in your program. So are they not repairing the train?
Great question. Yeah,
They say they can't repair it this year. It's been closed for much of the last 4 years. It's older. They've cited mechanical issue. Advocates for repair have said there's plenty of other small trains across North America that run perfectly fine. But yet here we are 2.5 years after Ken Sims said that, the train was back and fixed, and we're still struggling to deal with this.
What do you think will happen now? What do you expect? What's the next step here?
I mean, based again on my conversations with Park Board commissioners, there's outside of Commissioner Digby, there doesn't seem to be an appetite at this point to revisit it. I can imagine there might be some financial penalties if they were to pull out at this point as well. So, this will be an ongoing conversation because of all the different hot buttons it touches. But I think this event will go ahead, but the repercussions in the future to be determined.
Very Vancouver indeed. Justin, thank you.
Thanks, Michelle.
That's Justin McElroy, our municipal affairs reporter here at CBC. It's 12:28 now. You're with BC Today. And yesterday we asked you what we can do about youth unemployment, which has reached 14.6% as of August, the highest since 2010 if you exclude the pandemic years. We got these emails. Aaron writes, this is a reaction to the caller from Victoria who thinks this is a generational issue. 45 years ago, as a 15 or 16-year-old, I worked 20 hours a week. Never was I forced or coerced to take more shifts. The company, A&W, provided good training and treated us very well. There was little difficulty getting service industry jobs, especially part-time, with no benefits. The problem was getting a job after high school or college and university. My son is interested in trades, especially metalwork. I'm hopeful he'll get a job, but he'll only be able to buy a condo somewhere far away with the current housing costs, despite being part of a strong, healthy union. Levon writes from Vancouver, one of your callers mentioned that the social contract requires updating, and he couldn't be more right. The social contract that our parents and those in their prime working years up until the early 2000s entered into with their employers and society is entirely different than what is required now. There needs to be clear routes to success and social fulfillment that government, labor, and business can all get behind. Right now, young adults are told that as long as they work hard, they will get ahead. In reality, working hard and doing everything right doesn't even guarantee you can afford a roof over your head. It doesn't take a genius to see why this youngest work-ready demographic and the one before are failing to prosper. I don't know what the whole answer is, but we can start by instituting a fairly aggressive corporate and high income tax rate. Thank you very much for your email as well. You can send them to us, bctoday@cbc.ca. 12:30 now. You're with BC Today, and I'm Michelle Elliott. Thanks so much for joining us on CBC Radio 1, CBC Television. We're live streaming too on CBC News BC, as well as YouTube and TikTok. And coming up in our next half hour, we'll ask you for your favorite screen time watch this season. It is getting cooler outside. We're heading into the Emmy Awards as well this weekend, so we'll ask you, what are you excited to watch? That conversation coming up right after the CBC News Update with Rob Zimmerman.
Good afternoon. BC-based Tech Resources has merged with British mining giant Anglo American in one of the sector's largest ever acquisitions. The new company will be headquartered here in Vancouver and will become one of the top 5 copper producers in the world. Final approvals for the merger still need to be finalized. Striking public service workers have expanded picket lines across the province today. The BC GEU's strike action began a week ago. Contract talks broke off in July, with the key issue being wages. And eastern BC, along with the northern and central interior, continue to be under an air quality statement due to wildfire smoke. Environment Canada says that smoke could last up to 48 hours. The BC Wildfire Service, meanwhile, says there are nearly 150 active fires burning across the province. And now the forecast. Several sections of the interior remain under a severe thunderstorm watch. On the north coast this afternoon, clearing with a high of 15. Highs reaching 22 with local smoke and some sunshine in the piece. In the central interior, local smoke with sunshine and a risk of thunderstorms. Highs in the mid-20s with the risk of thunderstorms and some smoke in the Kootenays. In the southern interior, a high of 26 and hazy with a risk of thunderstorms. And for Metro Vancouver, Greater Victoria and the Fraser Valley, mainly sunny this afternoon with highs around 20, reaching 24 inland. That's your CBC News Update from Vancouver.
Thank you very much, Rob. Rob Zimmerman in the CBC Vancouver newsroom. He'll be back with you at 1 o'clock. Welcome back. You're with BC Today here on CBC, and coming up, of course, on your radio in your part of town, the afternoon show. And here's what Gloria has in store on the Coast.
Hi there, Michelle. It's Gloria Makarenko here, and I hope you can tune in to On the Coast this afternoon. You know, the Netflix animated movie K-pop Demon Hunters? It has become the most popular movie ever on that platform. And the soundtrack continues to break and set records around the world, too. So this afternoon, we are going to hear from a songwriter and a producer who lent not only her songwriting, but also her voice to the music of that movie. Yeah. Also, we're going to meet someone who has just become the first person to circumnavigate Vancouver Island on a stand-up paddleboard. It took more than 30 days, so we're going to get the whole story this afternoon on the Coast between 3 and 6. I hope you can join us.
Wow, that is exciting, Gloria. First, the paddleboard story, and then, of course, K-pop Demon Hunters. As someone, myself, speaking for a friend, me, who was coerced into learning the soda pop dance in my basement by my son, I am looking forward to that. The music is lit, as they say. So looking forward to that interview. That's a big deal, getting that. So that is something to look forward to. If you're listening in Metro Vancouver on the Coast, coming up at 3 o'clock, I will not do the soda pop dance for you. 12:34 now. You're with BC Today. Well, the Primetime Emmy Awards take place this coming Sunday, September 14th. And among the shows nominated, look at this list: The Last of Us, White Lotus, Severance. For comedy, Abbott Elementary, The Studio, and Only Murders in the Building, and so many more. Those are just some of them. We are asking you now, as we look ahead to the Emmys, and we're heading into cooler indoor type weather. What is your favorite watch this fall season? Call us now. Just hit pound 690 on your cell phone or dial 1-800-825-5950, 604-669-3733. Our email is bctoday@cbc.ca. We're watching your comments on our TikTok Live as well. My guest is Omari Newton, head of the acting and film departments at Vancouver Film School. Hello, Omari. Nice to see you again.
Thank you. Nice to see you as well. Thanks for having me on.
K-pop Demon Hunter, is that a thing in your household?
Not only is it a thing in our household, I'm listening to Golden in my car. I'm very proud. We have dozens of Vancouver Film School grads who worked as animators on that film. And little teaser here, we're actually organizing in October a K-pop themed event at Vancouver Film School.
Oh, I'm just guessing. I'm just going to throw a wild guess out there that that's going to be successful.
We suspect it will as well. We're going to have some people who worked on it coming down. We're going to choreo a cool dance routine in our green screen room. Animators are going to do a cool K-pop background. It's going to be really fun.
As I said, I'm not doing the soda pop dance for you.
Well, you might have to. I don't know.
It is, it's amazing to see the success of that show and the backstory behind it as well. And so exciting to hear all the Vancouver connections. So looking forward to hearing more about that. Does it feel to you like things ramp up in the fall? We hear more about the awards and the new seasons for various shows. Does it feel like when summer ends, there's a ramping up of TV watching?
Yeah, well, I don't know if it's a wrapping up of TV watching, but with the award season, I think a lot of the hard work people have put into some of these great shows starts to come to fruition, where you start seeing the accolades, and of course, people are excited for the next season of their favorite show. So yeah, that's always fun.
We have a TikTok user commenting that there is a sing-along screening of K-pop Demon Hunters as part of the Spark Animation Festival soon. Oh,
amazing!
That sounds like fun. You have to get really into your high register.
Yeah. I don't quite have the pipes for the K-pop singing, and I'm too old for the K-pop dancing. But I will bob my head along and nod with pride.
Yes, exactly. What about for you then? Besides K-pop Demon Hunters, what's standing out for you in terms of shows that you're excited about?
Well, I mean, I can tell you on a personal note, there's a couple shows that I'm really proud to say, like Ginny in Georgia is this show that one of our grads, Agape Mongazulu, he's a VFS grad, he's acting in it. The show won Best Family Program, the Canadian Screen Awards. That's really exciting. Adam DeMarco is another graduate of our program. He was on White Lotus Season 2, and he has a new show on Amazon Prime called Overcompensating, so pretty stoked about that. And we're lucky. We just had two makeup grads, Emily Walsh and Susie Kilmack. They won the Emmy last year for Shogun. And Shogun, of course, was a critically acclaimed show that shot in Vancouver. So I like to support the locals. I like to support our grads. So I'm excited. I got a lot of catching up to do.
Oh my goodness. That's so exciting. I mean, Overcompensating, that show has gotten quite a lot of buzz as well. To hear about these connections, I watched The Studio. I'm kind of halfway through that first season, and it's not a Canadian show necessarily, but Seth Rogen, I think we can claim him, right? He's Vancouver.
Sure.
Yeah, Vancouver, right?
Isn't his company called Point Grey Productions or something? I think he's very proud to be Canadian and very much a Vancouver boy. So yeah, we can have him. We'll claim him.
Yeah, exactly. If the SkyTrain can claim him, we can claim him. Yes, and also I've really been getting into North of North, which is a Canadian show about a young Inuit mother, just so full of humor and heart. So love those. I'm really fascinated to hear about all the Vancouver connections, the Vancouver Film School connections, in fact, that you're listing.
Can I shamelessly brag about what we were doing?
You kind of have been already, so go ahead.
So we have the Creative Arts Emmys were yesterday. And on the show Andor, we had 33 alumni. On the show Arcane, we had 3. Last of Us, we had 44. The Boys, we had 47. Severance, we had 8. And in total, we had 449 people nominated on Emmy Award-winning projects. So pretty stoked. Coming up,
that's great.
Oh, sorry, go ahead.
No, I'm applauding because that is remarkable. Wow.
Yeah. Well, it's remarkable. Obviously, as a representative of the school, I'm really excited for the school. It makes me really proud. But honestly, like I've been a Canadian professional artist since I was 17, and I've lived in Vancouver since 2007. And I think it's really cool to see Vancouver talent showcased on the world stage. Like, for example, the latest Final Destination movie was Zach Lipovsky, who's a Vancouver born and bred director. It was the #1 movie in the world, and it was like almost entirely Vancouver cast, almost entirely Vancouver crew. So we're doing some pretty cool things.
We sure are. Omari Newton is my guest, head of acting and film at the Vancouver Film School, which, as you heard, has so many connections to some really renowned programs that you're watching. And we'd love to hear from you. What are you watching? What is your fall watch this fall season? Give us a call. Our numbers are 1-800-825-5950, 604-669-3733, or just hit pound 690 on your cell phone. Taking your emails as well to bctoday@cbc.ca, and your comments on our TikTok. And Michelle writes, Only Murders in the Building and The Pit, two entirely different and equally fantastic shows. Only Murders starts tonight, and I can't wait. I get excited for new episodes of Only Murders in the Building, Michelle, as well. I'm with you on that. Nancy. Oh, I think we lost our call from Nancy. My apologies. Nancy, I'm sorry. Do call us back if you can from Revelstoke, okay? Thank you. So go ahead, Omari.
I was just going to share, I could quite literally watch Martin Short and Steve Martin read a menu, and I would be laughing the entire time. Like they're just so funny, and they've been so at the top of the comedy game for so long. It's just so cool to see these veterans still getting laughs all these years later.
Absolutely. It's such an enjoyable show. They are hilarious. I actually did watch, speaking of cozy murder mysteries, I watched the Thursday Murder Club on Netflix on the weekend, and it has a host of veteran actors: Ben Kingsley, Helen Mirren, Pierce Brosnan, and it is just wonderful. I think they had a lot of fun with their roles. It's not the most intellectually stimulating stuff, but it is it's just comforting to watch, and they're very funny. So I hear that for sure.
And I feel like they've earned it at this point to have some fun.
I think so. Yeah. I mean, Helen Mirren, no one's going to question her acting chops.
No. Ben Kingsley as well. That guy's okay. He's all right.
He's all right. He's won a couple awards, maybe.
Yeah, a couple.
Let's put out our phone numbers again and asking you, what show are you excited to watch this fall season? We are heading to cooler weather, kind of couch weather, and we're looking ahead to the Emmys as well this weekend. So give us a call. Let us know what you're watching. Our numbers again are 604-669-3733 or 1-800-825-5950. You can just hit pound 690 on your cell phone. Our email is bctoday@cbc.ca, and loving the comments on TikTok. We have an email here from Katie who writes, I just watched Thursday Night Murder Club with Helen Mirren, Pierce Brosnan, and Ben Kingsley. Much like Only Murders in the Building, it needs to be a series too. Thank you very much for that. I feel the same way. I think this one is based on a book series as well. So there's that. You definitely get that. Like this was from a book. Thanks, Katie, for that. bctoday@cbc.ca. I'm wondering, Omari, if a lot of these shows as well, they're on streaming services. K-pop Demon Hunters was on Netflix. How has that changed how we view us as viewers in terms of our habits?
Oh, I think it's changed it dramatically. I think the expectation that the second a show drops, you can binge the whole thing is a pretty new concept, right? Like, I mean, I'm sure I'm 45. I remember when there was like appointment TV, right? And even certain conventions, like apparently the iconic Law and Order sound was to let people know when the commercials were over so they could come back from the bathroom or getting a snack. Like it's changed so much the way that TV is viewed.
Yeah, you're right. Appointment viewing was central to your relationship with the show. Like that's why they would have cliffhangers at the end of that last episode, right? Because they knew you wanted to come back after the summer. It's interesting. My son actually just finished watching season 1 of The Rookie, and then he mentioned to me, I'm not really I'm not itching to move on to the next season. I feel like I've had my fill, and perhaps would like to watch something else. And I found that with myself too. If say with something like Abbott Elementary, which I loved, but I haven't caught up because I haven't felt the need to. So I wondered if streaming has changed that appetite to move on to the next season.
Well, what's interesting is even beyond cliffhangers at the end of the season, the structure of TV was for a very long time, you would write to a commercial break. So it wasn't just that you were trying to hook people back at the end of the episode.
Right.
You wanted people to have a reason to come back, after the commercial break. So it really did affect the form of how TV is made, and which I think is good and bad, because I do sometimes enjoy watching sort of longer form storytelling that takes its time, that's not so, strictly beholden to these guidelines of the commercials coming up or the breaks coming up. So that's, there's some liberty that's afforded as well.
Yeah, that's interesting about the Law and Order. Dun, dun. Then I'm back.
Yeah.
I'm going back. Let's take a call from Ellie in Vancouver. Hi, Ellie.
Hey, Michelle.
Hey, what are you watching?
Yeah, I'm watching, it's like The Office kind of spinoff called The Paper.
Yes.
Like most millennials, The Office was really quintessential to me. I think it really captures our sense of humor. And I was so skeptical going into it because I really don't like reboots. I don't like when they kind of ruin something cherished to me. But the show is like really hitting all the marks and has lovable characters and really funny, awkward comedy. So any fans out there, give it a shot, because it's definitely surpassing my expectations.
Yeah, Ellie, I feel like you've reflected the arc that this show seems to have had, because I saw a lot of that skepticism about, a reboot. I mean, why would you mess with The Office and its legacy? And then you see, I think Carlos is in it, right?
Oscar's in it. That's right.
Oscar,
yeah, there's a few
me.
callbacks. Yeah, there's a few callbacks to the original run. You hear characters in the background are mentioned, but it's different enough that it's not taking anything away. So highly recommend it.
Yeah, that's awesome, Ellie. Thank you very much. And it's about a local paper as well, which is just a draw for me. What do you want to say about this show, Omari?
Well, it's kind of ironic. The Office is a very unique show because I'm sure a lot of people remember the original show was the British Office, right? This is what
Yes.
made Ricky Gervais famous, and that's my favorite comedy of all time, the British one. So I was skeptical when they pitched the American one with Steve Carell, because oftentimes, British humor is very dry and kind of sardonic, and I was worried it was going to be too broad. And then, of course, I fell in love with the American one as well. So it's pretty amazing that this IP has been able to resonate with people over a few decades and with 3 different iterations of the show. It speaks to the writers and how strong that is as a brand.
Thank you very much, Ellie. I myself am looking forward to watching that program as well. Kathy emailed us, I'm really looking forward to a new season of Tracker, which did leave us on a cliffhanger, as well as Reacher. Are you familiar with this show? I don't know it, Omari?
Well, I have to say, Tracker shoots in Vancouver and also features several Vancouver Film School grads. So I am familiar. I haven't watched it yet. I believe it's Justin Hartley from This Is Us is the lead. But yeah,
Yes.
it shoots here.
Oh, wonderful. Oh my gosh, look at that. The worlds just keep colliding. And let me just, she mentioned there that it also ended on a cliffhanger. So that's kind of interesting, that conversation around cliffhangers as well. How has writing changed? Can we get into that a little bit more? You touched on it in terms of, the beats and the pacing of writing, but how else has writing changed to meet the demands of streaming?
Well, I mean, here's a development that's not a positive one, especially from the perspective, because I am also a professional writer. But, in the past, there was a longer, better resource process for TV being made and written. They would hire writers that would be in a writer's room. There would be an extended period of time where you would break the season, you would develop it together. People would get assigned different episodes. Like it was a very, it wasn't a perfect process, but they had a pretty clear process. Now, if they have rooms at all, oftentimes they're online to save money. They're shorter, because the revenue structure of television has also changed dramatically with streaming. I don't know how familiar you are with this or how familiar your audience is, but I could explain.
Yes, sure. Yes, please.
Well, in very broad strokes, in the past, the way that television shows used to make money is if a lot of people watched it, you could charge more for commercials because brands would know more people are watching.
Sure.
When streaming services like Netflix and although now they're starting to add some ads to it, but if you have the premium service, they're not playing commercials. And Netflix doesn't release the numbers on how many markets people are watching it or how many people watch it. So
Right.
this affects how actors and writers are compensated when it comes to like royalties and stuff. So we really are in a new zone when it comes to film and television.
Yeah, it's a new world for sure. We have an email here as well from Joanne who writes, I've been watching a really good CBC drama called Plan B. Great acting and a really good take on what would you change if you could do it all over again. And I looked it up. This premise seems fascinating. So it gives this Plan B is a program, but it's I guess a company that offers clients the chance to travel back in time to change the past. But each alteration has unintended consequences, revealing the complexity and limitations of personal agency. That kind of ground is so rife for exploration, I'm sure.
It never ends well.
No.
I got to work on a time travel show called Continuum that was also shot in Vancouver.
Yes.
Yeah, it was a really fun show. But anytime you go around messing with the past, it always screws things up. So I'm just warning those characters. It's not going to end the way you think it is.
And that's why it's a good show.
That's why it's a good show.
It reminds me of that another CBC show from years ago now called Being Erica. And it was very, very similar. Love that theme as well. Thanks very much for that email. bctoday@cbc.ca is our email address. And you can also leave a comment on TikTok, which we're on live right now at CBC British Columbia. And our phone numbers are 1-800-825-5950, 604-669-3733. Or just hit pound 690 on your cell phone. Just let us know what is the show you are looking forward to watching, or what are you into right now. Perhaps you're in the middle of a show at the moment. So let us know what's your fall season watch. Judy wrote us an email. I'm excited for a new PBS Masterpiece Theater show and new Knowledge Network shows as well. Wonderful. Thank you very much. They obviously Knowledge Network shows have such Knowledge Network runs incredible documentaries, and to look at, of course, all the great programs on PBS Masterpiece. So you have a lot in store for you. Thank you very much for that. Again, bctoday@cbc.ca. And my guest is Omari Newton, who's head of the of acting and film at Vancouver Film School. Interesting right now, TIFF is happening, right? There's a lot of buzz around it. We have Vancouver's International Film Festival coming up as well. Amidst all of this, what role do these film festivals play then?
In terms of like promoting new works or IP, or in Canada, is it?
Yeah,
Sorry, go ahead.
I guess how do they fit into public interest, given how much we are now drawn to streaming services?
Sure. Well, I've heard people say that like television is the new film in a sense
Right.
that, we're in the area of prestige TV, where in the past, historically, you would go to TV as a director or something if you couldn't get a film. But now we have all of these like legendary directors who are working in both mediums. So I think, a hot young director who has a successful film at TIFF can use that to parlay into getting like a cool prestige TV gig if they hire. So, I think that's interesting.
Yeah, so it's creating interest in your work then.
Yeah, I think it creates interest in your work. It showcases your aesthetic and it showcases your brand. And oftentimes that aesthetic can translate to TV. Like I'm forgetting her name, but there was a young female director from Toronto who directed a film called I Like Movies, which was one of my favorite films. I thought it might be something Lizak might be her last name. But I love that movie, and I believe she's directing television in Canada now as a result of the success of that. And she has a new movie that's also a TIFF.
Wonderful. Chandler Levac?
Chandler Levac, that's it.
Yeah.
That's it.
Okay,
I
yeah.
I knew of her as a filmmaker, and I believe she's also working television now.
There you go. how would you rank or how would you rate how the industry is doing right now? Over the last couple of years or so, we've done so many about so many stories around strikes and labor disputes, both with writers and actors as well, and things bleeding up from Hollywood to Vancouver. So how are we doing?
So it's interesting. I'm 45 and I got my first agent when I was 17. I've been in the industry for decades. I started off in Montreal, moved to Vancouver in 2007. And what I have learned in my time in this industry is that this is a cyclical industry. There's ebbs and flows. Canada has always been sort of, dependent on the American dollar in terms of when work comes up here. Like, for example, oftentimes when the economy is bad in Canada, and many people are really worried about this, it results in a net positive for the film industry because producers can save money when they come up here to shoot. So I guess all this to say, while on some levels, it's a challenging time in terms of volume of productions, it's Vancouver and Canada, it's a very resilient country and resilient industry, and with a proven track record of making quality stuff. So while it might be slow in this very moment, I know that it's cyclical and things are going to pick up soon.
Speaking of cyclical, I hear there is a reboot or a new Scrubs.
I have heard this. Yeah, interesting. I swear I'm not making this up. This is all true. We just had Emmy Award-winning director Michael Spiller, who he worked on the original Scrubs, and he also worked on Modern Family. He was just up at Vancouver Film School doing a workshop on working in comedy. So I was thinking about Scrubs recently because I love that show.
Me too.
Yeah, I hope it comes back. It was really, really funny. And Zach Braff actually turned out to be an awesome director as well. I remember Garden State back in the day was a pretty cool movie.
Yes, I watched that as well. He did move on. Speaking of branching out, he did move on to directing and did a great I guess continuation of their story.
I'm not sure. I have heard a little bit about it, but I know that was a very beloved show. A lot of us Gen Xers will be stoked to bring it back.
Yeah, and I guess a spin-off perhaps or a sequel. But again, the whole idea of the premise of the show was tackling working in a hospital, working on perhaps some medical crises. But there was so much heart to that show, and it was very funny as well. So I get the love for it.
Yeah.
Omari, what a pleasure, and looking forward to. Now we're going to look ahead to holiday viewing, I guess.
Well, if you want to talk holiday viewing, I'll be here. Let me know.
So much to be excited about. Thank you for your time. Have a great day.
Yeah, thank you as well. Have a great day.
Omari Newton is head of the acting and film departments at Vancouver Film School. That is it for us. Thanks so much for all of your emails, letting us know what you're watching on TV or on your screen or streaming services, what have you. You can always email us on anything you hear on the show. It's bctoday@cbc.ca.